Back to part 2 of our series on how to build a WordPress theme. In this video, we're going to go over how to set up our development environment. In the last video, we went over what all we needed to download in order to get it up and running. So if you've not went through that video, I suggest you go through that. At least download Vagrant and VirtualBox and install those prior to this video. And I'm going to go over how to use this dev box that I created to simplify setting up your virtual development environment. So in order to do this, once you have those two programs installed, VirtualBox and Vagrant, you can see that here. There is an installation section. You're going to go to this GitHub page, TechFix DevBox, and there is a link in the description field below. And you're going to click here. It says download zip. We're going to save the file. This works on Mac, Linux, and Windows. So do not fear if you're not using Mac like I currently am. Okay, now it's a small download. I'm going to drag it to my desktop and extract it. Now for this video, you can leave it, but I'm going to remove master off the folder name. And I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Okay, so we're going to open up the folder. As you can see, fairly simple. DevBox, assets, some setup files here. Now, if you're using Mac or Linux, you can use the setup.sh file. If you are using Windows, you will use the setup.bat file. So it's a batch file. Both of them do the same thing. Obviously, I had to create a special one for Windows since it's a pain. Okay, now these files open up in your terminal, or in case Windows, it will open up with your command prompt. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, now when you open up the file, this is what you'll see. We can actually minimize this now. Since we're setting up a WordPress theme, or we're going to be building a WordPress theme, we obviously want the WordPress platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the number corresponding with WordPress, which is 11, and hit enter. And some things will happen. It will download a copy of Ubuntu. Now this is going to take a couple minutes. In this case, it says it's about 5. It will download the entire operating system. I'm going to pause the video and come back when this is done. Okay, so we're currently down to about 10 seconds. To go ahead and let you know, this is downloading a copy of Ubuntu Server 14.04, also known as Trusty. It is a full operating system and you can use it. However, it is only configured for a development environment and not meant to be used for a live web server. So I don't recommend that by any stretch of imagination. Only use it for development. Hence the reason it's called a dev box. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up VirtualBox so you can see what's happening. You do not have to open it. It will do everything it needs to do in the background without actually running VirtualBox. And that's Vagrant that's doing all of that. So as soon as this opens, you'll be able to see what's going on. Okay, as you can see, I have several virtual machines running here, or in the background saved. They're not really running. We will have another one here soon. Right now it's still importing the base box, which is again something that Vagrant is doing in the background. And as soon as that's done, we'll be presented with a question, which I'll go over when it pops up. Okay, you can start we're just now starting to see it come up. There is a virtual machine here called WordPress default that just popped up, and the question that we are being presented with is, what interface should the network bridge to? Now, I set this up so it automatically creates a bridge network in case you want to work with a team of developers locally on a local network. This is ultimately optional. The answer to the question is whatever you're using to connect to the internet. If you're currently using Wi-Fi like I am, then you'll choose option number 1, Wi-Fi. If you've got a cable plugged into your computer, then you're probably going to go with number 2. Everything else is going to be pretty rare, but go with whatever works for you. I'm going to select 1 and hit enter, and the script will automatically do everything else for me. I'll let you watch the first few seconds, but I'm going to pause it because it's going to be really boring. At the end, when it's done, it will open up a web page for you automatically with your WordPress install. So let's go ahead and hit enter and see what happens. Now as it's going, it's starting up the WordPress server here. You can see it booting. There is no GUI. This is a server version of Ubuntu, so there will not be any icons to click on or anything like that. But luckily, I've automated everything. You shouldn't have to do anything with it. Okay, as I had previously stated, it will open a web page containing your WordPress. Now, when it comes up, you're obviously going to get an error because the config file is blank, or not blank, but it's not been configured yet. All you're going to do is you're going to click on the button that says create a configuration file, and be aware of the IP address you have been given. That is actually the IP address for the server you just created. Okay, that's how you're going to access your WordPress or Ubuntu server should you need to do so, especially in the browser. So what we're going to do is we're going to click create a configuration file, and this is the information we're going to need. I'm going to show you what to type in, so no worries there. Let's go. Now, database name. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here to WordPress, and the host is localhost, the database WordPress, user and password are both Vagrant. Okay, so let's go check that out. I didn't mean to click on that, but whatever. So Vagrant, and we will leave this at WP and localhost and click submit. And we have successfully put in the right information. Now we're going to click run the install, and we're going to name it whatever you want to name the site. I'm just going to put admin for username, and I'm going to put admin for the password. This is local, doesn't really matter. Email address, I'm going to put my real email address. Please don't spam me, or please do. Either way, I'll spam you back. We don't need search engines indexing this, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever. Okay. Now we're going to click login and type in our new username and password. Now with this, your Vagrant box, you will have to run some commands. Currently, after you run this install, it will automatically log in and SSH into your server. Okay, to get out of it, you're going to type exit, and now you're back on your computer. Okay, so what we're going to do is navigate back to our directory containing our WordPress, which in my case is on the desktop. So I'm going to go to CD desktop and DevBox assets and really oh, it's lowercase. WordPress. Okay, so now that I'm in the WordPress folder, I can do vagrant suspend, and it will suspend my virtual box here. So as you can see, it's currently running. I'm gonna hit enter and wait. And what it'll do is it'll save the virtual machine and put it in a saved state, just like all of these. Don't worry, it's not going to create all these for you unless you do it, tell it to. But so it's currently saved, and we're back here. So now if I want to start my virtual machine again later on, all I need to do is vagrant resume. And once that's done, it doesn't have to, everything is already installed, and it's only going to install once. It doesn't have to do everything again. This is only going to take a couple seconds, but once it's back up, we'll be able to get back into our WordPress. Okay, so there it is. So it's back up. Now all I need to do is, if you want to use the Ubuntu server, or if you need to access it, you can do vagrant SSH, and it will actually create an SSH connection and allow you to control your Ubuntu server. Okay, so now I am in Ubuntu. Okay, so I cleared the screen, and we're gonna do ls or not. Okay, so this is all the files and folders in the root directory. We don't really need to be concerned with anything but this vagrant file folder. So I'm going to go ahead and change directories to it, if I can spell it, and we're going to list it out. Now you can see here we have a WordPress folder, which is where our WordPress install is located. Now what's interesting is, what makes Vagrant so great in my opinion, is this DevBox folder that we currently have on our desktop. If we open that up and we go into the assets folder and we go into the WordPress folder, you'll notice there is now a WordPress folder here. This is synced with the folder on our Ubuntu server, which means if you let's just do an example. I'm going to do a new folder called testing in all caps. Okay, and I come here and I change directories into our WordPress folder, list files. You will see testing. This means you don't have to do anything directly with SSH. You technically don't need FTP. You can work right on your computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, and everything saves in your virtual machine. It also means if your virtual machine ever goes down, gets corrupted, you mess something up, type in the wrong command, whatever, you have it here as well on your desktop or wherever you save the dev box. So this is really handy, really great, makes working with your development environment very easy. So now I can close the my terminal out because I don't really need it, and we can begin editing. So in the next video, that's all we have for this video. If you have any questions, be sure to comment in the comment section below. Subscribe if you like the video. In the next video, we're going to start building our WordPress theme. So stick around, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.